Hey guys, welcome back to the Growing Good Ones YouTube channel. My name is Christina and I am growing here in zone 7, kind of A, B, kind of on the border of both. I'm in Virginia and I'm really excited to give you an update on my garden tour today. So come along with me. This is actually my chicken run where all of these pumpkins volunteered from pumpkins that I gave the chickens in the fall, and they were doing so well that I just moved the chickens back into the woods. I do have a couple really cool looking pumpkins, but overall things are looking pretty stressed out because it's been so dry. Corn. This is peaches and cream corn from Southern Seeds, and it's doing fantastic right now for me. I'm really happy. I've tried growing corn before and have not had the best germination rate, but this is the largest block of corn that I've ever grown, and I'm really hopeful that I get some good germination. And then these sunflowers are actually volunteers from the chicken feed, and I love them and I think they're worth keeping. All right, I have a row of sunflowers. These are all Mongolian giants and they will be huge. So I'm really looking forward to having just beautiful flowers come fall or later this summer. I have a row of sweet potatoes and then some melons, some watermelons, and a couple pumpkins in here that I have specifically planted. They're starting to flower, which is wonderful. I do have some open space still, so there is still room for me to expand. I've got a couple potatoes here growing kind of in a more shady area in some potato grow bags. This bed, I have some open space, but I've got some flowers, some eggplants. I'll probably end up moving some of these more cut flowers. I've got my summer squash are starting to show some signs of stress because of how hot and dry it's been, but I am still getting to harvest some fruit from them. So here's one. There you go. That's a nice zucchini. I've never grown costata zucchini before. It's good. I definitely think it has a more squashy flavor than, say, like the Ford Hook or dark green types. It's fun to grow, but I think in the future I'll probably lean towards just doing the tried and true favorites of the Ford Hook and the dark green type styles. But this was fun. It adds some variety to the garden, and it's been really fun. My trellis area for this bed has taken a while to actually take off. I was hoping to have some more melons in here. I've got like Kajari melons and lemon drop melons, canary melons, but that's okay. They are finally starting to pick up a little bit. I hope to see some growth. Over here I have some noodle beans. These are red Chinese noodle beans. Same over here on this side. Now this side, the whole row is basically noodle beans, and you can see like it is taking off much stronger than the melons on the other side. This bed is just packed full of green beans. I have dragon tongue beans and jade beans. I've also put some sunflowers in the beds. I like to put them on the ends next to the T-posts so that I can tie them to support them if needed. And I've got a couple cosmos sticking out here. They haven't flowered yet. This, and you might have to help me learn how to pronounce it, but this right here is a Corpius. We're starting to see some flowers, starting to see some flower buds emerging. I'm really excited to see the type of flower that it has. I also have, there's also some dahlias that are just starting to bud here that I'm really excited about. In this section, I did harvest my garlic. I had 4 rows of garlic that I just took out, and I am going to replant this area with more sunflowers, like Autumn Beauty, Evening Sun, those beautiful flowers for the fall. I do have more potatoes growing in bags, and I like growing them in bags because on this side, because they get a little more shade, and it's really hot and sunny out, so I think that shade really helps them. I have a short stuff little sunflower that's just about to bud, and some tomatoes. These are like sweetie varieties, which is a multiflora, which means that it produces a lot of tomatoes on one stem. So see, we have lots of fruit starting to emerge. Oh, and look here, we've got one that's just starting to blush. That's awesome. So I might start seeing tomatoes next week. Inside the hoop house, I have, this is basically a row of yellow pear, or no, I'm sorry. This is a row of Yellow Perfection tomatoes. Now, if you told me in like March when I was starting seeds for my garden, if I was going to be growing a whole row of Yellow Perfection tomatoes, I would not have believed you. But it just so happens that these took off in the conditions of my garden this year, and it's so funny how the garden changes from one year to the other. I thought for sure I was gonna have rows of bread and salt, Amish paste, beefsteak, but that all of my seeds and seedlings for those didn't pan out. They withered. They didn't make it this year. However, under the same conditions, the Yellow Perfection just has thrived, and so I'll take it. I'll take it. I can't complain. At least I have tomatoes and my row is full, but it is not what I expected to have a ton of this year. My peppers are really starting to take off. They're dark green. They're starting to present with a lot of fruit. We'll leave those to get bigger. This is a Hungarian wax peppers. And then these are Emerald Giants, and I like growing them in the hoop house because I have this bar here that I can tie them to, because otherwise the plants want to tip over. So I do have them strung up and tied there, which helps create a little more support. And then I have some more. And here I have some Greek pepperoncinis that are starting to present really well. I've never grown Greek pepperoncinis, but I love how vigorous the plant is, and it looks like it's going to provide a lot of fruit. It's important to pick your fruit, even if you don't think that you have enough to can, because otherwise the plant thinks that it's done its job and produced all of the seeds it needs to produce. My second row of tomatoes is actually tomatoes from suckers, which I cut off of my plants. And if you want to know what a sucker is, this is a sucker, where you have a plant coming out of, or a growth, a stem coming out of a joint. If you cut this off, you can root it in water and then transplant it to create a whole new plant, which is essentially what I've done here with this row. I've just I had space and my seedlings were struggling, so I was just able to root a bunch of new plants, and they're starting to get to the point where I need to get some structure on them, because you can see they're starting to topple over. And so since we're in the greenhouse or the hoop house, what I'll do here is I'll just get a piece of string and I'll tie this up to the bar here, and that'll hold this plant up that's tipping over into the walkway. Now this bare space I actually just seeded this week with some bush beans, and one of two things really. I like having the beans in there just because it's a filler right now in my garden. I don't have any seedlings that are really ready to be planted. But I also am trying to get the hoop house ready for the winter and ready for the brassicas that I plan on putting in here. And beans are nitrogen fixers, and they really help prepare the soil for my fall and winter garden, which is actually my favorite garden. On the other half of the same row, I have a bunch of another round of summer squash that I've planted, and this will replace my larger batch of larger batch of summer squash that is starting to show some age and stress. All right, I have a ground cherry. This is Aunt Molly's ground cherry. It's in the hoop house and it's doing pretty good. I'm actually gonna cut a few of these pepperoncinis because I want the plant to make more. Even though they're on the smaller side and they could probably get a little bit bigger, I just want them to, here we go, look here. Hey, that's looking nice. I want to plant them. I want to encourage the plant to make more flowers. And so here we go. Here we go. Now I have these beautiful pepperoncinis. If I put a few eggs in here, it would look like breakfast. I've been dicing up the zucchini and the pepperoncinis and sauteing them with just a little bit of oil, salt and pepper, and then I make like an egg omelet for breakfast, and it's a really great farmer's breakfast in the mornings. I started some artichokes, and I was really worried about them as seedlings because they had started showing signs of stress. But like you can still see, like here, we'll just take this leaf off, this diseased looking leaf. But they pull through and they're starting to get darker. They're starting to show that they might actually pull through in this situation. I do have this one sunflower that I stuck here as well. It's called a golden bear sunflower, which is not a sunflower I've ever grown before, so I'm excited to see what it turns out like. Got some giant sunflowers here. The first row, the three that you see here are Mongolian giants, and if you can see, they are starting to get, they're over my 6-foot T-post, and they are, I don't know, probably 11-12 feet tall at the moment. They're just starting to head. I can see a head on the top of this, and the stalks are pretty big. I mean, I can fit my whole hand around it. Let's see, there, just show you how big they are. They are huge stalks, a lot of support. I mean, it's solid. I'll probably end up using the stalks next year for green bean trellis because they're so big, and they don't compost well because they are so big. And oh look, I forgot to tell you guys earlier, I grew a zinnia and I thought it would be cute to put it in my hair for the video. I'm just being silly. So I had these beautiful bear paw pole beans, and they're starting to put more flowers off, but you can see like that so like this one here, you can see, look at this string, or this stem had so many flowers on it, and all the flowers just fell off and I didn't get any beans. And the reason your blossoms may fall off your green beans is just sometimes when it gets so hot that the plant just isn't able to reproduce, or it just gets so stressed out that it drops its blooms. And I think that's what happened, and it's really a shame because this plant was just covered in these little bitty you know, in all these blossoms, and the plant just dropped them all instead of producing fruit. But these seeds were actually pretty expensive, so my goal for the moment is to harvest the beans that I can, and hopefully make the plant start producing more blossoms. And then I'm gonna string them up and let these seeds dry to hopefully be able to grow them again. Because the seeds were pretty expensive. It was like $4 for 10 seeds. So even if I'm only able to get like 20 green bean pods, I'm probably getting like 4 or 5 seeds per pod, so that would be enough for me to try again maybe in the fall, where the plant won't be so stressed out and hot. Oh my gosh, look at the stem of this Mongolian giant, or no, it's a mammoth. No, it's a Mongolian giant. This Mongolian giant sunflower stalk is just absolutely huge. Look, it just keeps going and going and going. It's absolutely huge. There we go. So on this section, I have Minnesota midget melons, and they are showing some signs of just like heat stress. It's just been really hot and dry, and the plants are just really super stressed out. But it is producing. There's a ton. There's probably like a half a dozen or more of these little midget melons here, which are fantastic. I mean, that's all I can ask for from a plant is that it just keeps producing. And the midget melons are fun because it gives you a small taste without having an overwhelming amount. All right, and then another area for green beans. These are actually Good Mother of Stallard green beans, and I haven't seen any blossoms yet, but I expect maybe in this next week that I'm gonna start really seeing some blossoms here, and this will start producing. Unfortunately, I had another section for melons. I had Kajari melons and I think it was Hale's Best cantaloupes, and the plants are just not surviving. I don't know if the stem, if there's just bug damage, or if it was the heat or what, but I started pulling them out and replacing them with cucumbers, because my cucumbers have actually been struggling as well. And so you can see this one here, that one's probably not gonna make it. And I'll just have to keep succession sowing cucumbers until I get something to grow here. All right, best laid plans and all. You can see my tomatoes are laying down here on this bottom row. I never actually gave them any support, so it's just a tomato jungle here. But hopefully I can get, so you can see, there was my T-post that I was going to use to tie them up. Hopefully this week I can get to where I can like tie them up. However, even in their jungle state, they are producing a lot. There's a lot of fruits here on the plants, and hopefully I start seeing some blushing tomatoes this next week. And then I had some open space where tomatoes didn't work out, so I ended up just adding some more. I believe these are Mongolian giant sunflowers. I love sunflowers. So I believe this sunflower on the other side of the green beans, I think this one and this one are actually Titans. At the end of my cucumber row, I just put in some new seeds in an area that hadn't yet been planted, and these guys are taking off pretty well. I'm excited to see that. I have, let's see, another golden bear sunflower, which is awesome. And behind that, you can see these little wispy vines. This is a cucamelon that is starting to take off, and there are teeny tiny little melons that are starting to form on these cucamelons. I have 2 butternut squash that are starting to trellis up the structure here. And then my cucumbers, I have to say, my cucumbers are it starts getting worse as you go up the row here. You can see that like things are just not able to hang with the heat and the dryness. I've been watering every day in the morning, but it's just not, the plant just can't hang. So I've been succession sowing my cucumbers. This one, they're producing little things, but you know, I don't think I'm really going to get a harvest. I think I'm going to have to restart with my cucumbers. The silver slicers, now I have some silver slicers here that are putting out some pretty small fruits. So we have that, there's a silver slicer. Here's another one. Now I will pick these this morning, and I'll put them in the fridge and have them cold for dinner time. Yep. All right, let's pick this one here. There we go. And it's a silver slicer. It's looking pretty nice. Good enough for dinner for sure. You know, they're tiny and it's not overabundance of stuff, but I'm pretty excited for what I do have because, man, it has just been so hot, and for anything to be able to produce is just a blessing. My tomatoes are just an absolute jungle. This is the path of least resistance. They're starting to get so big. I haven't been pruning them, so it's just wild, wild tomatoes. These are starting to show. Oh, look, these look good. I think these are yellow pears. Oh my goodness. Look at the size of this cherry tomato. It's like the size of my finger. I'll be excited to see that blush. These might be orange accordions. Orange accordion. And then we've got some sweeties. Things just start getting a little wild here in the tomato jungle. All right, and this is a sunflower. The one with the purple stalk is an evening sun. And it's just starting to head here, and I'm really excited to get some color in the garden. Well guys, that's the update. We're really starting to see things take off and put fruit on the vine. I hope to see larger harvests here in about a week or two, and I'll keep you posted and bring you along with me as things continue to grow.